Sangha, to the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. I take refuge and joy and enlightened in the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha. To the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. I take refuge and joy and enlightened in Buddha's Dharma and Sangha. To the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Okay, so I always have a good motivation, that I'm here to, I would like to become more enlightened. And it's very nice to phrase it though as, I'd like to offer a more enlightened relationship. Because that immediately puts it in a context. It's not like, me, I want enlightenment. No, it's like, hey, I'd like to offer something beautiful to other people. So therefore I'm attending the teaching for that reason. Okay. And the subject is the how to become lucid in your dreams. Okay, now I'm going to talk about it first from the Tibetan tradition. And the Tibetan tradition, it comes in the different yogas that you practice and such, and I think it's in the 6 yogas in Naropa. And I'll say immediately that I found it not very beneficial. There's much better techniques, which I will teach you after this, but there's some of the points in the Tibetan system that are very good. So first off, in the Tibetan system, they talk about your consciousness, there's 2 points. So when you're awake, there's consciousness in your forehead and in your heart. When you go to sleep and you start to dream, your consciousness drops to your throat and to your navel. And then when you're in deep sleep, it drops to your heart and to your pelvic floor. And that's when you're in a very, very deep sleep. Then when you start to wake up a little bit, it comes back up to your heart, your throat, and that's when you would potentially be able to have lucid dreaming. And then it comes up to your throat and your forehead. That's the way to describe it. And so in their techniques, you do a lot of visualization in your throat chakra, which is where your mind will go to that point. And then you can maybe because you put focus there, when your mind arrives there, you might wake up and become lucid in your dreams. Again, there's different traditions, different teachings, but that's the way they describe the process. Now, in regards to dreams, they break it into 3 sections or 4 sections. So, for example, when you go to bed at night, then from, let's say, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock until maybe 1 in the morning, those dreams are just going to be from the day. You had an argument with someone at work, you had trouble driving your car somewhere, or just whatever, or maybe you had a nice party or something. So that those dreams are affected from the immediate environment. Then from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock approximately, they say you can be affected by spirits. So, hard to sort of do that, like to show that, but they do say that sometimes you can be affected by the energies that are in the universe and such like that. So those dreams also are not considered so important. The most important ones are from about 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock, or you could say 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock. This depends on how long you sleep. And those ones are considered the more informative dreams, because what's going to happen is that you are more relaxed, you dropped away sort of things of the day, and those dreams could be meaningful. But when we say could be meaningful, depends on your practice. So for example, with Lingam Rinpoche, who was my main teacher when I was in my 3-year retreat, when I used to, in the first year of my retreat, I would visit him. He was in my retreat boundary. I could visit him, and I might say, oh, I've had this dream or that dream, and he'd say, not important, not important. I'd say, okay, whatever. And what he was doing was, he was cultivating me, that I would be more focused in the meaning of my life. That I really had good clarity and focus. I'm a bodhisattva, I'm practicing this, I'm trying to be of benefit. So by doing that, then I was more serious, more focused. Then in the second year, he'd ask me like what was my dreams and this and that. and he would sometimes give me advice. But what I understood was that it was very important, the theme of my life, like what's meaningful for me. I mean, if it was about work and money, then those dreams, could be informative, but the thing is that the meaning is more sort of mundane, just making more money or, having friends or enemies or something. And so that's where, like, what is the principal purpose of your life? So by being a bodhisattva, may I understand myself, realize myself, be more in harmony with myself in a deep way, that then the dreams could be, well, let's say, beneficial because they're going to a greater cause, like enlightenment, or just to become more and more enlightened. Okay, so that was the something to take into consideration is what is your focus? Like, what do you consider important? Okay, and so then those dreams sometimes, that if you have that in clarity, and then, you don't need to go into a big retreat for that. It's just, when you wake up in the morning, you say, I'm a bodhisattva, I'm going to do 3 prostrations of the Buddha. You take inspiration, you cultivate yourself in the direction of becoming a more enlightened individual. And like I say, it's good to think of it as like, I'd love to offer a more enlightened relationship to my family or my relatives or people at my work or something like that. You don't say it, but your feeling is that. And then, you have wisdom and compassion. Your wisdom says, is it good to help this person now or not? Sometimes helping somebody is not beneficial, they take advantage of you. So you use wisdom to say, okay, maybe I don't help you just now. You need to work on yourself a bit more. Or maybe I do need to help you, give you a smile, give you a hug, whatever would be appropriate. So always wisdom and compassion are very important in daily activity. Now, so in the Tibetan system, those are some of the points that would be quite important. But the text I've given you, and for those of you online, we're going to just go through every page and we're going to talk about things, so it's going to present it. The big thing, and this comes actually from Professor Stephen LaBerge of, I think, Stanford University, I believe, that his research, and they have a dream laboratory where they've really done some serious investigations of dreams and how you go to sleep and like when you go to deep consciousness and sort of dream consciousness and then dream. And so there's a lot of statistics now. You can Google it. You come up with all sorts of information. But he is part of a university, which just means that it's got very, very good, research. And it's not just sort of someone writing on Google about something, it's well organized. And there's quite a few books, so you could look up Stephen LaBerge, or whatever. And he offers workshops, for example, in Hawaii. It only costs you $5,000, but, anyway. But the main thing is mindfulness. And this is where I found it so much more useful for my personal practice compared to this focusing on the syllable in my throat and then, may I wake up in my dreams, which is good. In the Tibetan system, they do emphasize, your intention. Like when you go to sleep, I'm going to remember my dream. But the system coming from psychology, so much easier, so much more clear about how to do it. And the main thing is mindfulness. So before, from 2006 till about 2012, I used to lead 10-day retreats in Mexico. And there would be 10, 15 people, sometimes 20 people attending. We did 2 or 3 a year. It was quite we call it the golden era of meditation retreats in that part of Mexico, because we did a lot. And they were in silence, and you meditate from 5:30 or 6 in the morning through until 8, and then 5 sessions a day, each session an hour and a half, 2 hours. A lot of meditation. And in those retreats, I would say half of the people got lucid. And I didn't teach them lucidity. I would sort of comment about it, but it's because of mindfulness. I don't know with the Goenka tradition whether they put much emphasis to that, maybe not, because Gregory has done a lot of Goenka retreats. But one of the main things is being mindful. And this is what we're going to cover with this paper. So, if you're just always busy, maybe it's going to be harder to have a lucid dream. But if you slow down, you're mindful, then it has greater opportunity. Now, part of that is then first intention. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama has mentioned that different people have different elements of their body. So for example, if your earth element is very strong, maybe it's not going to be so easy to remember your dreams. Whereas, and this comes from the Tibetan system again, whereas if your air element is strong, then it's easier to remember dreams. So there's earth, water, fire, and air elements. Those are the 4 elements of your body. But you can adjust that. So for example, some of the things that are mentioned in the Tibetan system for just remembering your dreams would be, let's say, one is check your diet. Like if your diet's really heavy, a lot of meat and things, you might have less capacity to remember your dreams because it makes your body very heavy. So at nighttime, if you were to have salad or fruit or something, it would be better because your body's light. The other one would be so that your bedding is not so heavy. Like in the Yoga Tantras, they talk about, if you want to sleep very deeply, you feel that the bed is a sun cushion and it has a lot of warmth, and you feel your body has lots of warmth in it, and that'll make you relax and sleep deeply. So it's not very good for dream yoga. Okay, if you have the other side though is that your bedding, if it's really heavy and hot, again, maybe you can't remember your dreams so much. Whereas if it's lighter or even you're a little bit cold, then again, you have better opportunity to remember your dreams. Now, if you do dream quite easily, then maybe you don't need to do these things. But if you're having some trouble to remember your dreams, then these are things you can do. So don't eat a heavy meal at nighttime. Have the window open so there's fresh air. Lighter bedding on the bed so it's not so heavy or hot. And then intention. Like, may I remember my dreams when I go to sleep tonight? So that's again coming from the Tibetan system and such. Okay, so that's that. From there then, we come back to the more psychological one. So on the paper I have here, and it says, look, be aware of what you see, notice the richly varied and vivid impressions, shapes, colors, which just means, be mindful of yourself, be mindful of what you're seeing. Don't just sort of like look around sort of without much mindfulness. Listen. So again, listen to things, be more clear and more focused about what you're listening to. Feel, participate with the sensations of your body. I mean, you have to think about it that so often we're just in our head and we're running here and we're running there, and maybe we don't even recognize we have a stomach ache. So what we need to do is slow down, be present, so see things, and then maybe you won't have accidents, listen, or as the Christians say, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as saying something. Okay. So anyway, but listen, feel, what's going on in your body and such. All this is mindfulness. It's nothing unique and unbelievable or magical, mystical. Okay. Taste. When we do the retreats, like I still do 10-day retreats now. We do them in a Catholic seminary. A very beautiful. It's like a 4-star hotel. It's so nice in Mexico. And I just did one in November. There was like 25 people attending, so it was really sweet. Very good food, 3 meals a day. I think it cost $400 for 10 days. Or $450. Now, the only bad thing is you have to fly there, but then that's not that expensive either. It's Lyon. Anyway, but what you do is, it says for tasting, because so often it's just sort of like you have a shovel and just like that. So what you have to do is you take some food, you put it in your mouth, you have to put your fork or spoon down, and then you chew and you eat the food and you participate with the food so that you, no one can see you. So you do that. So again, you participate. And that's the thing is, mindfulness. You are participating with the experience. And so that's something that actually is fun. I mean, it's, it's literally just slow down. It's not boring. Slow down and participate with each moment. And then just in mindfulness meditation techniques, your life will get fuller. Because what do we normally do? It's like, oh, hi, Gregory, but yeah, I want to run over here. Oh, hello, how you doing? Run over there. So I didn't participate with you. So it's sort of Massamena's friendship. I didn't participate with you. Then I ran past you and thinking, where's my life? At the end of the day, I'm thinking, oh, who are my friends? I go, oh, they're my friends, but no connection. Whereas, I say, hi, Gregory, let's go have a cup of coffee. I mean, if you have the time, like that, and then you talk with somebody, you listen to what they say, and you maybe notice what they're wearing or something like that. And that's participation. And at the end of your day, you feel much better. You're like, oh, I had some people in my life. I had some love, or I had some warmth, or I had some camaraderie. Okay. Smell. Okay. Well, then that's fine. So all of these are just basic mindfulnesses of the moment. But what you're doing is you're bringing consciousness from just running around back to being in the moment. And that's the key for getting lucid. Okay, then the next one is breathing meditation. So it says, and again, it's one of the most basic meditations in Buddhism. It's just really good. It's just being present. Was it Alan Wallace, who leads a lot of retreats and actually was involved in some of the Dream Yoga presentations of Stephen LaVerge. He says that in their research that our mindfulness is about 15 seconds. And then we start to think about something else. But if you can train yourself, it's not like that's what you're stuck with. In those 10-day retreats I offer, I have them all check up, and you can find it, in the first day, it's like, you're meditating and thinking about this, and okay, let go, and then come back here. And then after a day or two, you're up to 30, 40 minutes, and then even you get up to 5 or 10 minutes of, not profound, but just you're present to the thing. Again, that's the key for them becoming lucid, because your consciousness is resting in the moment, not chasing phenomena. So breathing meditation, very good. You're all Buddhists, so I'll do a little bit of that. In fact, quite honest, I have some incredibly high tantric practices, but they're not beneficial if I'm not mindful. If I sit down and do some breathing meditation, but I'm thinking about something else, what's the point? There's no benefit. So learning how to be more present. Emotions, I actually just to sort of talk about, like in the 10-day retreat we just did, we did 8 steps of mindfulness that were coming from Buddha Shakyamuni, but they were presented by a Thich Nhat Hanh. And I'm so sad that Thich Nhat Hanh just died, but he did this very nice presentation. It's on YouTube. It's, I think, 8 steps of mindfulness, Buddha Shakyamuni, Thich Nhat Hanh. Really nice to listen to him to talk. But the first 4 are, you could call, body mindfulness. I'm inhaling, or I label my inhalation, exhalation. I fully participate with my inhalation, exhalation. I include my body as I fully inhale and exhale. And finally, I inhale peace as I'm fully conscious of the whole process in my body. I exhale peace. So those are the 4 steps. And so very nice. As you say, I've done meditation for years. I just found it so nice, because it just settled in, and then inhale, exhale, peace. Very nice. Just like a Tonglen, breathing meditation, and it was a very good one. Then that's the first 4. The second 4 are feelings. And so it's like, you're more focused on your emotions and feelings that are going on. So you cognize your feelings, you observe them, and then you have to start accepting them. You don't reject them or something like that. So if you're getting angry, you say, oh, hello, Mr. Angry Mind, my angry mind. And then finally you have to embrace your angry mind. You have to love your angry mind. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm just saying that with emotions also, sometimes it's like if you have a wave in the ocean, like you're on the beach, close to the beach, and a wave comes up and catches you, like you get an emotion, it just takes you and it pushes you, runs you into the sand of the beach, So what you have to learn is to say, okay, here comes like this feeling of, desire or anger or competitive or whatever. And so you feel like it comes up and then you go, okay, and you sort of relax and you slide off the back of the wave, like that. So all that's not that you're losing, the energy of life, but you're not being controlled by the energy of life, by your anger and the thing. So that's emotions. Thoughts, again, this is just on the first page of this particular text, and I'll give you one later. Thoughts are like the clouds in the sky. Sometimes we over validate them, we exaggerate them. I had this thought, like it's so bad, No, it's just a thought, it's impermanent. It's not there forever. So it's like they say, like your mind is open like the space of the sky, very open. Like you are the space of the sky. And then a thought and feeling comes through. Maybe it's a white puffy cloud, or it's a black nasty cloud, or whatever like that. Or maybe there's just a lot of turbulence from wind. The thing is, okay, I am, the wind can go through and then it's peaceful. The cloud can go through and then it's peaceful. So that's how you deal with thoughts. This is one of the techniques, okay? And then, then it goes into a long commentary about the I, your sense of self. So you try to sort of be conscious of how you're experiencing things. Okay, and then it goes awareness of awareness. Again, that's for deeper meditation. But all of that is mindfulness. So whatever style of mindfulness, you don't need to be doing a profound mindfulness. Like I was explaining, actually, there was some funny thing that happened. The Bon tradition has a very big center in our city, and also in another city, Durango. And so Tenzin Wangyal, who's the main Bon teacher for North America, came to Durango, and he was giving teachings about dream yoga. And there's all the Bon participants all there, really excited and everything like that. And yes, okay. And so at the beginning he said, okay, who in this audience has had a lucid dream? And most of my students were attending, and they were the only ones that put their hands up. I thought, it's silly, Tenzin Wangyal was a very nice teacher. I like him a lot. But I'm just saying that it's not some mystical thing. It's just mindfulness. And all of those students of mine got it from just being mindful, and a little bit of an encouragement in that direction. But the main thing was just to be present. One of my students, his name was Ultimate. When he first got lucid, he said, like, I was dreaming this and that. I was in the house of my mother, and then suddenly I got hold of the experience of, hey, I'm lucid, I'm awake, And so he said, I floated from room to room, watching the various scenes of what was going on with my mother and such. And sort of intriguing him. And then other people, we'll talk about lucid dreams a little bit later for right now. But okay, so there's one of the causes. Now, this is where the best part is, the second page, where you start to really have a technique to get it. And so it's called, cataloging dream signs. So you keep a journal. Again, this is if you're really interested. Now, one of the Buddhist things about the benefit of lucid dreaming is, if you can lucid dream a little bit, when you die, you can go into a lucid dream, which is just like, wow, that's a big bonus. So it's not like you're going to die unconsciously. You just basically, your body's dying, and then you can, like, just invoke this state of consciousness and such. I haven't died to say I experienced it, but I have lucid dreams. That's that much I can say. So it's one of the things that say, okay, if I can lucid dream, I might be able to die fully conscious. And then, and in Buddhism, we have a future rebirth, so it's something. So anyway, dream journal. Okay, so what I used to do in Canada when I was really doing this much more seriously is I had a little tape recorder at the side of the bed, because I really wanted to try to remember my dreams. And this is one of the ones that it was, the one with a cassette. It was a really old one. But I could just grab it, and I just had one button I push. And so here it is, it's like 4 in the morning. I go, okay, put it back down, But it was interesting, and I was quite impressed with, like, whoa, because I didn't, wake up. I remember a lot of my dreams, but some of them I wouldn't. But then this would give me things, so I write it down. So what you're doing is putting emphasis to your inner life. It's sort of intriguing. But again, you have to remember there's 3-4 phases of dream. The first dreams aren't that important. The second dreams might not be affected by others. The third level or the fourth level, the last part of the night, are maybe the more meaningful dreams. Okay, so in a cataloging dream sign. Now this is when it gets really, really good. So if you start journaling, you'll have like, I'm always in a car. I'm driving in a car, I'm being driven in a car, this and that. That's almost every third night I have a car. So then what you have to do is you do that, and then maybe another one is you're in the kitchen cutting vegetables, and you do that a couple times a month. You dream of that. So you're journaling, you start noting, oh, okay, doing that. And then the fun one is toilets. Because sometimes you dream about going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So then you wrote down, okay, toilets. And then elevators is another one, right? Where you have elevators. Anyway, so maybe you do it for a month or two, and you start getting 5 dream signs. There are 5 things which are saying, okay, this shows up fairly regularly in my dreams. And it could be a person too, your mother, your father, your brother, sister, or something like that. Okay, then what you have to do is, okay, so let's say I dream of Gregory periodically. So then let's say I lived in LA and I'm hanging out with Gregory, then every time I see Gregory in reality, I'd say, I wonder if I'm dreaming. Like that. Or let's say, you get into an elevator and you push the button and you say, am I dreaming? You just check up. That's the thing, you see. Because what's going to happen, you do that, or when you're driving your car, you say, well, am I dreaming? But you better not. Like that. So you have these things, and so you do that. That's the first thing. And then what can happen is that when you are dreaming, and then suddenly Gregory's there, you might suddenly go, oh, I wonder if I'm dreaming. But you're in the dream, and then you have this opportunity. You can wake up because you're recognizing dream sign. It's really good. That's why I say this technique, the Tibetans, I never heard of a Tibetan teaching it. It's just so good. And it's so much more easy, So that, now, and then the fun ones, of course, is toilets. A lot of time we dream of going to the bathroom and things like that, or in the shower. So so in real life, you flush the toilet and you say, I wonder if I'm dreaming. Like that. Or again, elevators and things like that. Okay, then as it says here, classify the dream sign inventory. Okay, and then you pick targets, so count how many times the dream sign category, inner awareness, action, form, context, blah, blah, blah. Practice looking for dream sign while you were awake. So that's the technique. It's a really nice one. It's very easy and such like that. Now, I would recommend that you put emphasis to good attitude, positive attitude, be beneficial, be peaceful, don't get angry, because that cultivates the way you are. And then when you have dreams, because you have a good attitude, you'll tend to have nice dreams. I've worked with dreams for 40 years. I've been doing it since way back when I was first a Buddhist monk. And I've found that, for example, nightmares, if you have a nightmare, like a bad or scary dream, what you have to immediately say, okay, what was I afraid of yesterday? Now, why? Okay, and then each one of us is different. I'm not saying my particular presentation now is the gospel of dreams, but whenever I have a bad dream, then, as soon as I wake up from the bad dream, let's say it's 3 a.m. or something like that, then I have to say, okay, what did I turn into a monster yesterday? That is, what did I avoid? What was I afraid of? And what's interesting is, if you can catch it like, oh, I saw this person and I hate them. I walked across the road. Well, you just turned that person into a monster, in your perception, and you wanted to avoid them. And so if you've got good, we'll call it conscientiousness, then your mind will kick that back to you at nighttime to say, hey, look what you're doing. You're living in fear. You made a monster. And if you can, so when you wake up at 2 a.m. and you're sitting in your heart going boom, 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 like this, and you say, okay, who was I afraid of, or what was I afraid of yesterday? Okay, and then if you catch it, you go, oh, yeah, I avoided that person, or I was afraid of this, or I was afraid of, then sometimes immediately the nightmare energy just disappears because you caught it. You caught what was the cause of it. That's very interesting. I've had a lot of experience with that and with other people that you do that. Okay, so there you go. There's something about nightmares. But the point is that I'm saying, have a positive attitude about your life. And so when you're having dreams, your dreams will tend to be in a positive way, like being helpful or having good people around you, Dalai Lama or Lamas or family members and things like that. So the dreams become not so problematic. And if you do have a nightmare, just to check up, hey, what did I turn into a monster yesterday? Because I had this dream tonight. Okay, that's just a really good way to do it. Okay, preparation learning for lucid dreaming. Goal, exercise, set explicit specific goals. Now, some of this you do after some time, so the dream journaling and then dream sign could take you a month. Because it's fun, enjoy it. Hey, it's your life, every night you go to sleep for 6-7 hours a night, spend some time focusing on it. And the tape recorder thing is quite fun because like I say, I go through phases where I can remember all my dreams every night because I've been doing it for years. And sometimes, actually about 4 months ago, I couldn't remember anything. I just wake up and I'm tired, don't remember anything, I think what's happened, And I'd say, okay, gee, that's strange, But it went on for several weeks, and then slowly it came back. So whatever it was, whether I had a little bit of a flu or a cold, or whether just I was stressed or something. Okay. Then so it says, okay, we're on page 2. Exercise, set explicit, specific numerical goals. Then set difficult but realizable goals. Set short-term as well as long-term goals. Record and evaluate your progress. Okay. Scheduling time for lucid dreaming. Okay, now this is part of actually the Stephen LeVer's program that he does where, there's a couple things you can do. And Alan's a friend of mine. He has this, and you can buy these, things to help you. So for example, there's one, I actually bought it years ago. It's a thing you put on your head. And when you go into REM, your eyes start moving. It has some sensors. And then it starts flashing lights at you, very softly, like to sort of say, okay, you're in REM, wake up, wake up, wake up. Anyway, so what I'd find is that, I'd put this band on. I don't like that, but I did, okay? So I'm lying there and I fall asleep finally. And then in my dreams, I have somebody in front of me with a flash camera going, flash, flash, flash. And I wake up angry. I say, what the hell are you doing? Like that. So that was one way, and it's something you can buy. I think that was like $50 or something like that. And I think you go and you Google it and you'll find them. Another one is that it's a little thing you put under your pillow. It's a little speaker, and Alan told me about this one. And it's like maybe I'm not sure that it'll have its own instructions, but maybe it's like at 2 a.m, a little voice says, "You're dreaming. Wake up. You're dreaming." A little soft voice. So then because it's under your pillow, it sort of affects you a little bit. Maybe you might get lucid. So these are some of the little like gadgets that you can have for doing this. Okay. So, but in this thing, that's page 3 of your handout. It says set your alarm. So set your alarm to wake up 2 or 3 hours earlier than you usually do. So the alarm's for 3 o'clock in the morning. So you set it, you wake up, and maybe you can catch a dream or something like that. Or the one I like, it happens for me is, I do wake up just because of life at 2 or 3 in the morning. Normally I have to go to the bathroom or something like that, whatever. And then what I do is when I go back to bed, I'm quite good for getting my dreams, catching my dreams, because I woke up. So anyway, he just has set an alarm. Get out of the bed promptly in the morning. When your alarm goes off, get out of bed immediately. You are going to stay awake for 1 or 2 hours. Go around in business until half an hour before returning to bed. So just again, it's just little exercises. Focus on your intention for your lucid dreams. A half hour before you return to sleep, think about what you want to accomplish in the next lucid dream, what you want to go, what you want to see, or what you want to do. So let's say you wake up at 2 with the alarm. Then again, you walk around, do something, random, read a book, whatever. Don't fall asleep right away. Maybe you do that for 10, 20 minutes. Then when you get ready to go back to bed, then you set a very strong intention about what you want, like some sort of you want with your lucid dream. Okay, return to bed and practice the induction technique. After 2 or 3 hours have passed since you awaken, make sure that your sleeping place will be quiet and undisturbed for the next couple of hours. Go to bed, etc. So these are just some things. I don't put too much emphasis to this personally. I just find it, doing a dream journal, you start to get more and more clear in remembering your dreams. You do dream sign, which is really interesting. I mean, because it's I don't know about you, I often dream of cars, people, being in a mountain. So these are my dream signs. So whenever I'm there, I say, wake up. Okay. Preparation for learning lucid dreaming. Progressive, okay, then the bottom of page 3 is this progressive relaxation, again, getting in touch with yourself. That's all it's about. I like that. Critical state testing technique. Okay, again, this one is plan to test your state. So again, this one's sort of interesting. Like what happens is, so let's say, for example, I'm in a meeting and with some people and I've got a table in front of me. Then you say, maybe this is a dream. Now this is a dream, I can put my hand through this table. And so you put your hand on the table and you push. Now, of course, if your hand doesn't go through, then obviously, you're awake. But what happens is, and this is interesting, I remember when I was training with this one called Critical. So what I would do is I put my hand on the wall. Like, so when I was doing something, and I'd say, I wonder if I'm dreaming. Put my hand on the wall and I push. Now, I can't go through the wall because I'm awake. But what would happen in my dream is I'd be doing something in my dream, and then somehow I'd sort of remember, put my hand on the wall, and my hand goes through the wall. And I go, woo, and then you wake up. And of course, then the problem is you've woken up and you get too excited, or you become lucid, but you get too excited and then you wake up, so you lose lucid dreams. So that's another one. You got to learn how to not be too excitable about getting lucid. But you learn. I mean, it's practice. Okay. So there's your critical thing. So again, it just goes through the same same thing. Testing. You test. Okay. You ask yourself critical questions 5 to 10 specific times in a day. Am I dreaming or awake? Just don't just automatically ask the question and mindlessly reply, obviously I'm awake, or oddities or inconsistencies that might indicate you are dreaming. Remember what has just happened. So again, in the early years of when I was getting lucid, what would happen is, like, I would maybe wake up at 3 in the morning, and this is when I was in Canada. And then I would sort of, drift off again. And then I'd have this dream. I'm looking out the window of my house in Canada, and I'm watching this little truck drive up and down the road and do really little loop-de-loops and stuff like that. And I'm just looking at it thinking, oh, that's really interesting. That's really strange, really completely obviously it's totally berserk, and what truck does loop-de-loops on my street? It's a little urban street. But I just sort of, oh yeah, well, interesting, like that. And then all I go, oh, I'm lucid, and you sort of catch it and you go, whoo, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Okay, so this is instruction when you do get lucid. Okay, one is try not to get too excited because you immediately wake up and you think, damn it, So let's say you managed to get it a couple times. Then the next thing is, and this is my own experience, I'm not saying I'm the best for this, but don't leave the place you're in. Like, because sometimes people, they get lucid and they go, oh, and they fly through the wall and they go into the sky, and I mean, you can do this, and it's totally lucid, it's wonderful. It's like, whoa, you get all this goosebumps and adrenaline, okay? But the thing is, you want to learn, because what it is, it's a state of consciousness. That's really, really important, that when you're lucid, there's this state of consciousness that you're having that I know I'm lucid. And if you have a lucid dream, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not anything that you need to think, but so all you have to have is one lucid dream. You start to recognize, oh, the feeling of this state of consciousness I'm in, okay? So you get that. And so what you do is when you do start getting a little bit lucid, stay in the one room or wherever you happen to be and experiment, go around and sort of like, okay, well, I'm lucid, okay, wow, and the thing is, and maybe you can go and say, okay, you put your arms to the wall, but you don't go to the wall. You just put your arms to the wall. You say, okay, I can do that, and maybe I can elevate a little bit, and you sort of elevate yourself and you float around. But what you're doing is you're trying to be very conscious of the consciousness of your lucid dreaming at that moment. So you have that, so you're catching it, you're catching the flavor of that experience of consciousness. So when you get a little bit more familiar with it, then you can do, for example, then you could say, hey, I don't want to be in this room. And you can walk through a wall. I mean, there's nothing stopping you, It's sort of funny. But anyway, so you just walk through a wall and then suddenly you're outside and it's sunny and bright. And then you go, woohoo, and you go up into the air and you float the loop, whatever you want to do, all sorts of things. Now, there's a couple of things that happen. Okay, so you're starting to get a little bit of stability in lucid dreaming. You're starting to have that thing, you've got the feeling that you've got lucid. You're able to develop a little bit of control over it and things like that. Now, what happens then is you start to lose it. And how you know you're losing your lucid dream is, you're involved in it, I'm talking to you, and then you suddenly feel like you're falling backwards, and I'm falling out of my lucid dream, and you're saying, I don't want to do that, okay? So this is in one of the commentaries I read about lucid dreamings. What you do is put your arms on your chest and spin, like in your lucid dream, It's all about it. It's a lucid dream, so you just say, okay, okay, I'm going to lose it, and you feel you spin. Now, what normally is you go unconscious, and this is my experience, and also one of my friends had the same thing. You go unconscious, but then you wake up, and you think, oh, I'm sitting in my bed, Damn it, I guess I just woke up. But you're not. You're actually still lucid dreaming. But your mind can't figure that out yet. It's sort of like, okay, I'm sitting in my bed, And then what you have to do is you have to look at something like, for example, if you have a book, let's say you had a book with a big title on it, so you say lucid dreaming. You look at the book, you look away, and then you look back at the book. And if you're lucid, normally the title will change. Or the other one is your clock. So you'd say you were lucid, you started to lose it, and you feel you're falling, and you just spin. And then suddenly you go unconscious or whatever happens, and then you're back in the bed. And you think, oh yeah, I woke up, And so you look at your clock and it says it's 3 in the morning, and you think, okay, it's 3 in the morning. You say, hey, I might still be lucid, but you can't, your consciousness can't catch it. So then you look away and you look back at the clock and it says it's 4 o'clock. You said, no, it was 2:30 before. I'm lucid, and again you're back, you got it again. It's very interesting. It's these little games you play with your mind. Anyway, so God, I haven't talked about this stuff for a long time. Hey, I'm just remembering all these little tricks that you can have. Okay, so that's it. Now, and again, a lot of this is in books you can get on lucid dreaming. I'm not particularly saying anything that's unique and unbelievable. I know that, for example, in Buddhist teaching, sometimes they make this as some sort of like a mystical thing. But actually, a lot of people have lucid dreams. I mean, people have no spiritual practice could be lucid. Really, I have some friends that have that ability, and they don't have any spiritual practice, but they have that ability for some reason. So I don't think that it's any greatly mystical thing, and if you did get lucid, it's nothing to be proud or arrogant about. Lots of people are a lot better at lucid dreaming than you are, so don't get arrogant. But so you have the dream journal, you have dream sign, you have checking up regularly, like 5 times a day or something. The nice thing with if you have a wristwatch or your cell phone, put it on a timer every 2 hours. So every 2 hours it goes beep beep, and you say, "Am I dreaming?" And if you did that for 2 or 3 weeks, what's going to happen is that sometime in your dream, your dream cellular phone's going to go beep beep. And you're going to go, oh yeah, but then you could wake up, become lucid. Okay. Now, the next thing, if you try to control a lucid dream too much, the vibrancy will go way down. If you let it to be totally spontaneous, the vibrancy goes way up. Okay, so that's something to remember, that if when you're lucid and you've got a little bit of experience with it, don't try to control things too much. Allow the vibrancy to be there, and it's incredible. I mean, in a lucid dream, the colors are spectacular, and the sensations and like, floating or something. There's these incredibly, great feelings in your body, whatever. I mean, it's your dream body, but it's a dream. So it's really quite wonderful. But if you start to try to control it, I don't know why, but they do say that the brilliance goes down and it becomes less energetic. And so you need to allow it to be a certain level of spontaneity in your dreams. So that's just another little side note about dreams. He goes through again power technique, intention technique, then reflective intuition technique, plan what you intend to test in your state, test your state, imagine yourself dreaming, imagine doing what you intend to do. And again, this keep a dream journal. Okay, and then on the last pages it gives dream sign. And so it's part of the piece of paper that you're going to get. You write down dream sign, and then on the back it says, very back, categories: familiar objects, vehicles, rooms of houses, roads, buildings, family members, locations, weather, activities, equipment. So all this helps you sort of categorize what you're doing. So then you develop it. Okay, so it's okay. So you develop your ability. So that's pretty much what it is. It's mostly mindfulness, being present to how you're experiencing things, participating. Okay. Then there's intention, which is very important. So you start to build up the intention. Dream journaling, so you start noting down the things that are repetitive and such. Then you start checking in the daytime to sort of say, okay, I have a dream sign of, being in the kitchen. Okay, well, when I'm in the kitchen, I wonder if I'm dreaming. And try to put your arms through the table or put your arms through the wall, or whatever it might be, your particular thing. That's the one I always did, was put my hand on the wall and push. And it's so interesting because what happens is you sort of, I wonder if I'm lucid, I don't know. You put your hand on the wall and you push, and it's sort of resistant. And the resistance is why? Because you believe the wall is solid. But then if you just push enough, and suddenly your arm goes in, and you go, oh, I'm dreaming. Aha. I caught it, I've got lucid. Okay, and then you pull your arm back out. It's okay, it's not got just bones or something. It'll be silly. Anyway, so that, and so then you can start saying, okay, wow, I got lucid. Okay, what can I do, like that. Oh, then, okay, so that's testing. Now, then I gave you that when you are lucid, try not to get too emotional about it because you'll wake yourself up. Second thing is, if you do get lucid and you find you're losing it, and it's you're going to feel like I'm going down, you put your hands to your chest and spin, in your dream body, and then normally you'll pop back into some sort of environment, and then you have to figure out that you're still lucid dreaming. Again, it's fun. It's sort of, it's like, I wonder if I'm lucid dreaming still. Anyway, then that. Now, then there's a couple other things. If you have a spiritual practice, or there's somebody that you want to see, that's where then what you can do is you can invoke them. Now, the trick is, if you're not very good, it's not easy. But what you have to do is, for example, let's say I'm lucid and I'm in the room, and I say I really want to see the Dalai Lama. So what I do is I turn, and then I feel the Dalai Lama is sitting in that chair, but I'm not looking at him. And then I look back, and if you have enough faith and things, the Dalai Lama will be sitting there. That's how you invoke somebody. Now that's one way. Or another one is, let's say you're in a room, and you say the Dalai Lama's in the other room. And you go and you open the door and you lucid dream, and if you're fairly focused on it, he'll be there. But then what happens is, will he talk to you? And that depends on your merit. I mean, this becomes very interesting then, that when you do become lucid, and let's say you have a dream with your guru or with somebody like that, you can ask them questions. But if you don't have enough merit, they don't really respond very much because you don't have that quality yet. And so that's where, it's good, for example, having the Dalai Lama. And even if he doesn't say anything, it's still wonderful. The Dalai Lama is there. But if you think, gee, he was there but didn't talk to me, well, you have to have more merit, more positive energy, and then the Dalai Lama will become more animated. Something to be conscious of. So that's for invoking your spiritual teachers, or you want to invoke, your cousin or your uncle or even your dead grandmother. You could do that if you wanted. It's interesting. I have a friend of mine. He's in Mexico. He had a very bad relationship with his father. His father was very abusive and complicated and this and that. And so he was actually in the Bon tradition. And so he learned how to become lucid. So he started invoking his father. And because his father would appear, and then he could talk about his feelings to his father. And he said that at first, it was a little bit complicated because he had a lot of fear about that. But then he started to get through that, and he started to communicate with his father and stuff. And then he finally resolved it. He finally got a hug from his father and stuff, and very thing. And so he resolved an emotional issue in his life by lucid dreaming. So that's something really good. I have an interesting one, which I'll share because it's sort of good. I mean, I'm married 2 times. So my first marriage, I was together with that person for 18 years. And, we were in love with each other and this and that. But in the end, we sort of went in different paths. And anyways, like that. So, but when we separated, to say she refused to talk to me. So there's no closure. So I never had a chance to, say I'm sorry or say she's sorry or anything. Just no closure for me emotionally and stuff. And so I used to do a lot of Vajrasattva for that. Like, I forgive you, you forgive me, this and that. I had to do that for like 2 years, just every day. And she'd show up in my dreams periodically and, would be difficult. Divorces, we all know divorce is difficult, yeah. So anyway, finally though, one night I was dreaming, and I'd been about 3 years at that point, Vajrasattva, and I forgive you, and I care for you. I do Tonglen with her sometimes, sort of, I inhale who you are, I exhale back peace to you, which is interesting because, like I inhale you, ooh, you're so angry, okay, oh my, coming home, you exhale back. It's your own psyche, it's your own crazy mind. But I finally, got to that I could be very peaceful with that. I mean, I couldn't spend any time with the real person. They didn't want me. Anyway, by then I was in Mexico. But anyway, so I did that. And then finally one day I had this dream. And I see the Dalai Lama. And I walk up to the Dalai Lama. And it was more a dream. I mean, it was a little bit lucid. I was I'd say 50% lucid. Like that. Oh, no, Dalai Lama like this. And then there's a set of stairs on one side. And my ex started walking down the stairs and stuff. And let's just say before she was quite large, okay? And in this dream, she was 20 years old again, really thin and very beautiful. And even in my dream, I was like, wow, I mean, you look so good, And she said, yes, I feel good, And then she and I and the Dalai Lama sat there and talked for a few minutes. And I thought, oh, interesting, blah, blah, blah. And then I woke up and I just felt good, I think, the Dalai Lama, my ex and me were all friendly, very good. But I couldn't really quite understand the situation, So anyway, about 3 weeks later, I have a friend of mine that's a Jungian psychologist that I phone in Seattle sometimes just to talk. Anyway, so I phoned her up and we're talking, and I said, oh, you're into dreams, aren't you, So I said, well, I had this dream, and I explained it, and I said, but my ex was really thin, I thought I heard that, and then she said, the situation's not so heavy. Anyway, so anyway, we won't talk about my marriage situation or my ex, but let's just say, so for me personally, I had closure. Like my friend had closure with his father. I had closure from a divorce that was quite unpleasant and stuff. So there is that possibility in your own life that you could, if you get a little bit lucid, you can start directing your mind to deal with that issue, and you can resolve it and stuff. So that's where dreams can be very interesting. I have another friend that had a bad relationship with the guru. It was a very bad one, and the guru refused to talk to him and this and that. I mean, it was rather mundane. And so he did a lot of Vajrasattva also for a long period of time. And finally, he had a dream of being in a very nice house, and that ex-guru, his previous guru was there. They got to talk, they got to hug and things like that. And then he went, okay, I've purified. So again, these are where you can maybe resolve some things where you can't do it physically, but you can do it emotionally and internally. And that's important for us. I mean, it is our life, it is our energy. So that's where dreams can be beneficial for your Dharma practice, okay? So I think that pretty much covers everything I had to say. Are there any questions? Yes?
I have a question. Thank you for sharing everything. It's very beneficial for us. I had a question in regards to if you see your spiritual teacher in your dream, let's say you're lucid and then, practiced it, and then you see your spiritual teacher, should you take those instructions as if you were actually receiving them from him, or do you take it with a grain of salt, like, oh, it's actually just my dream, maybe it's my ego, talking to myself?
You can check up. I mean, if the information seems quite valid, then okay. If it seems really strange, then maybe check up. I remember once I dreamt of the Dalai Lama, and he was drunk. and in my dream, I thought, why are you drunk? I mean, you're the Dalai Lama. And then when I woke up, I realized, no, I'm doing something stupid, and my Dalai Lama's got him drunk. So that way, I mean, he did, give me a message about myself. And actually that, which brings up Lama Thupten Yeshe, was one of my very first and best teachers. He always said, when I said, oh, I dreamt of you last night, he'd say, that's not me, that's your Lama Yeshe. So for example, that's not Dalai Lama, that's my Dalai Lama. And he's drunk. What am I doing to make him drunk? Okay, so that's more mundane. Now, if you did get lucid and you did have a conversation with your guru, check up. I don't know you need to phone up the guru and say that. You just sort of check up with the information that seem valid. Use your own wisdom, because maybe it can be. The friend of mine in England, who's a very good practitioner, he says that most people's visions are in dream. Like if you do a lot of practice, your dreams will be one of the places that you'll have your visions and get instruction. But it is possible if you're a really incredible practitioner, like Tsongkhapa, he could invoke Manjushri and talk to Manjushri directly. So that, I don't know what you call it, a lucid state or whatever, but that was because of his quality of his merit that he could do that. And there was other, like Atisha could invoke Tara and get instruction from Tara. So there are lamas and even practitioners like your people that have the ability to invoke a Buddha or something and talk to them. But again, always check up. It's good to check up. Okay. Other questions? Good. Okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
So let's say we attain a lucid state. What do you have any recommendations of what we should create in that moment? Spiritual teacher obviously is always good, but is there any? What should we be doing? Should we be benefiting others, or if we want to make it a Dharma practice?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yes, because for example, it would be quite common that if you're not very much of a Dharma practitioner, you get lucid and you make love to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
That could be a very standard sort of thing because you're just a mundane person, So that's where, like I said earlier, if you get lucid, don't leave the place, stay in that place, but try to really, because you're lucid like now. Right now you're lucid, but you're able to say, okay, what's the feeling that I'm having right now? Because that feeling is the feeling of a lucid dream. And if you can get very familiar with that state of consciousness, you can invoke it much easier. Okay, so that's first up. Don't run off and do like fly through the wall or call on your girlfriend or something like that, or boyfriend, whatever. No, just say, okay, hey, I'm lucid. Okay, well, put your hand through the table, walk around, fly a little bit, and stuff. So you get a much bigger thing. Then, in the 6 Yogas of Naropa and a commentary by Tsongkhapa, then you try to do virtuous things. So you can start to change things in the dream a little bit. So let's say, for example, let's say a spider appears that looks very ugly. Well, then, you say, okay, you're going to become a puppy dog. And by the power of your love of the spider, you turn the spider into a puppy dog. So it's possible. It depends on your ability. And I have a friend of mine that was having a very lucid experience, and so he had all of these monsters coming around him, And he started to it was like some paranoia. And then he suddenly said, no, love. And he just said, love, I love you all, I love you all. And they all just turned into beautiful things and then disappeared. So that was, he was, I don't know, whatever. So this again, your what you want will be, you can do to some extent. Again, it depends on your merit and your energy can affect the dream. But I mean, if you just want to be hedonistic and have that, I mean, you can do that. I mean, nothing's improved. You haven't improved yourself. You've got this great state of consciousness, and you're just using it for silly stuff. I mean, and it's just a dream. It's not even real. Go out and have a real person in your life.
Yeah, I was reading something about like if you're lucid and then you use it for hedonistic purposes, it's almost like super samsara, right? Because you're just creating all of your desires and
yeah, it would be
more
well, it's super samsara and a massive way of illusion.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So yeah. So no. Practice Dharma. And then if you do have this ability, then your dreams do change. And then you can recognize the level of your Dharma practice. I had a friend of mine, and he's from England. He's a very good practitioner. He's in a long retreat for actually Haruka. And he had a particular woman showing up in his dream. And this is from when he was a teenager. And he was really happy with that because she was a very nice person. He didn't have any sex with her or anything, just she was showing up, and it was really nice for him. He'd wake up in the morning feeling really good. And then at a certain point, he was in a dream again, quite lucid, and it was with the Dalai Lama and a whole bunch of monks, and they're all doing practice. And then this girl came in the temple, and she was wearing a nightgown, and her hair was in curlers. And so he sort of went, oh, I've got to improve my practice. Like I'm attached to that particular manifestation, whether it's his Dakini or his Alma or whatever you would want to call it. Or his anima, animus anima. Anyway, whatever. So again, sometimes you can do quite well with dreams to help your practice is good, or you need to improve a bit more. Okay.
Sorry, it's just because I have you here. I mean, how often do I have you here right in front of me, right? So, so practicing the generation stage, like, is that something like creating the mandala in your dream, or visualizing yourself as a deity? Is that something that we should try to be doing as well?
Well, again, if you have enough merit, yeah. It's not. I found it not very easy personally, but that's me.
Right.
So other people have greater abilities than me. I mean, everyone's individual. Like some of us might be nothing more than just rather mundane lucid dreams. And some people have very fantastic ones, where they talk to the Buddha and stuff, I mean, each one of us is different. So I can't really, if you have that ability, then try it, yes. If it doesn't happen, don't criticize yourself. Just work at whatever level you're at. Okay.
Yeah, that's good, because every time I'm lucid, I've never actually had the ability. I've always gotten too excited, and then I've woken up. So I've never had gone beyond that. So I'm gonna try okay, let me touch the wall. Let me not fly off somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's the bad side, is to get too excited and you wake yourself up. Now, the other thing, though, is if you want to try to do that, do what I explained with, for example, invoking your guru, is turn away and say, the mandala is over there, and then turn back and see if it appeared for you. Because unless you're really good, you can manifest it in front of you. But that means you're pretty darn good at it. Where most of us, we need to sort of give ourselves you have to change the vision of the camera and then come back, okay? And then something is happening, okay? So good. But yeah, practice the Dharma. That's you have this great opportunity. And let's say you have issues. I mean, my friend who had a bad relationship with his father, he resolved that for himself, so it's a really good way to technique to use, okay? Other questions, commentaries? Okay, well.